Welcome to the Billionaire Lifestyle Podcast with your host, Emmett Muckles. Please visit iTunes, Stitcher, or emmettmuckles.com to listen to all the episodes for free.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Billionaire Lifestyle Podcast with Emmett Muckles. Today is the day that you were given to start again. Yesterday is gone, tomorrow's not here, but it's time for you to create your magic and plan for tomorrow because you can create something out of nothing. That is what tomorrow is for. But I say this every time so I can make it sink into your cranium. But today's guest, and I'm just going to segue in. So I have a guy who is very close to me, but because of COVID-19, we could be sitting in a pub chopping up game and dropping that hot fire for you, but no, that's what Zoom is for. Today, my guest is Dr. Benjamin Ritter, founder of Live For Yourself. That's a good one. What up, Doc?
How's it going? I think I just made it my life's mission to actually create time travel to prove your opening statement wrong, right? Because I want to go back in time and make yesterday my
Stop
future. It. Does that
Stop it.
How's it going?
I'm about to poke a hole. You've seen every movie where they go back in time and they step on a cockroach and they come back and they're like, oh, snap. I made one wrong.
I'm just going to go invest in Zoom. All I want to do is go back like 4 months ago. That's all I want.
Right? Just add that to the portfolio and it's a wrap. So, Dr. Ben, what got you here? What got you to your now?
Yeah, a few different things, but mainly it was the fact that I realized I was living my life for a purpose that wasn't really a purpose. It wasn't a healthy mission either. And once I realized that, I kind of had to start from scratch.
What do you mean it wasn't? What do you mean it wasn't healthy?
So when I was younger, and I'm going way back in the time machine here, I wanted to become a professional soccer player. So I dedicated my life to it. I practiced 3 times a day. It was the only thing I'd watch on TV. I traveled the world for it. I didn't really make friends because they were going to keep me away right from training and practicing and such. Problem is, if you don't succeed in something like that, you're left with nothing. Yeah. You don't have friends. I was horribly socially awkward. I didn't know how to define who I was. I had no professional passions or pursuits or anything like that. Just had a college degree. So I had to remake myself. I had the decision to either stay where I was or figure out where I wanted to go and who I wanted to be. And that was kind of the start of everything. It got me interested in personal and professional development. And I never thought of coaching as a career. I thought of it as just a way to develop who I was and have a better life. But then because I was so kind of obsessed with this new passion of mine, right, studying how to better myself, I ended up getting headhunted to become a coach for an organization and then traveled the U.S. coaching men on how to be better thems. And then broke off, started a side hustle because I wanted to side hustle. And never again, still didn't even think coaching was going to be a career. But while I was side hustling and trying to actually create a career, I ended up getting a federal grant for life coaching for myself. I ended up getting selected for like another 16 months of leadership training. And so throughout my career, coaching kept being a part of it, but not all of it. And then I went through an experience where I just didn't like my job. I was really unhappy. And I tried to take steps within the corporate world to fix that. I tried going to my boss and corporate office and crafting my position to incorporate like leadership development, professional development, a lot of the coaching interests that I've had to that point. And they said yes. And I thought everything was great. But then we got acquired and a lot of people lost their jobs.
Pivots.
And everything I was going to work on got taken away. And so I had a choice. Do I find a job in this industry, in professional development, in leadership development, with no experience, because I had literally no experience other than my own side hustling and coaching and development, and take a huge pay cut and start from scratch as like a specialist? Or do I take my side hustle and experience and entrepreneurship? Do I take my coaching strengths and expertise and go rebrand and launch a new business? And at that same time, like that was, that was the path of least resistance. So I went back, got my doctorate, relaunched, left corporate America, was making enough money, and 3.5 years later, I'm here where I am today.
So you said you were coaching men. We're in a. It's hard to define this situation. We're almost in a weird separatist state, but then again, we're not. Those who have the popular voice, there is a separation between the masculine and the feminine. If you look at the world today, you see that it is polarizingly feminine, or moving toward polarizingly feminine dominance. Is this the time that men need a new understanding of who they are?
I think men and women need to understand who they are. So I work with basically 50-50. I work with entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs that are looking to create more aligned work, or to create a career they love. If that's launching a business, or if it's pivoting into an industry they had no experience in before and don't know how to do that. And my experience working with men and women is just that certain people haven't spent that much time gaining clarity on who they are, what they care about, and then how to actually put that into action. They're so influenced by the world around them, what they should be, what is the right thing to be. And I think, to your point, yes, there are specific gender issues, but I think I would love to take gender out of it and just say we all need to spend some time gaining some clarity on who we are and what we care about, what our values are, and how to actually implement that into our life.
And that makes absolute sense. You're talking about people who really are biased on the front of the world. Because, like I said, I'm an OG compared to you. So when I was a kid, you went down the salad dressing aisle and you had Thousand Island, you had Italian, you had French, and you had blue cheese.
And if you're like me, you have ketchup, and ketchup is a salad dressing. That's
ketchup with mayonnaise. That's French. That was it. That was the choices. And it was maybe 2 companies that made that. Today, well, 6 months ago, you go down the aisle and there was just an aisle for all the different couture salad dressings. Is it really confusing people because there's so much information that it's making them hard to get clear on their focus?
I think there are too many options, but not just too many options. People think they need all the options, right? So it's like going down the grocery store aisle and buying every single salad dressing because you feel like you need to taste them all, be part of them all, and you're not good enough unless you have them all. And it's like this lack of contentment and happiness and understanding that your career especially is a career. It's a journey. It's not a job. And I think too often, especially because I'll mentor like undergraduates and high school students as well, and they're so caught up with this idea that their first job is going to be the most meaningful, most purposeful, most impactful position they're ever going to have in their entire life. And I'm like, that is such a self-defeating mindset. And how do we get to the point where we look at today and we say, today is great because it's today. Tomorrow is going to be great too because it's tomorrow, and I'm on the path to enjoy this salad dressing, and maybe if I want to, I'll mix in a little bit of this other salad dressing tomorrow, but I don't need all of them because each of those salad dressings is a different path in my life that I could take, but I'm choosing this salad dressing because it's what I want. And it's just like in relationships. Right, you commit to someone, right? There are so many options. You can always break up with the person you're with and find somebody else. There's always an option for that. But you're committing and choosing this person because you enjoy the future that you envision with them the most, or at least you enjoy today the most with them.
Yeah. So we've talked about some of the symptoms of society, some of the symptoms that are plaguing us in this moment. That is very different than it was pre-2007. And why I say 2007 is because that's when the iPhone became prevalent. That's when smart devices became prevalent. Now, like that old song, you can get with this or you can get with that. The choice is yours. That's old school hip hop for anyone.
I'm from Chicago. We got some old school house here, you know. We got
Yeah, I know
Frankie
you do.
Knuckles and
What is self-leadership? What are the founding principles that people need to understand? So for those who are ignorant and don't know that they're ignorant, can have a foundation.
Yeah. So we were talking about, we brought up gender issues. We brought up this idea of too many options. And honestly, this made me think about how, because half of my work is in like the corporate environment. So I'm working with leaders to develop them. And very often they'll ask me, do you do any sort of assessment? Like, do you do any sort of personality assessments? And I say, and I get it. I understand why you want me to do a DISC profile or Myers-Briggs or something, whatever you want me to use to tell you what box you fit in. But I don't care what box you fit in. I don't care what a quiz tells you you are. I care about who you want to be. And then I want to take action towards that. Because I think too often we get handicapped by who we think we are and what box we have to fit in. And that influences our actions and our beliefs to what we're actually capable of. And so self-leadership, honestly, is saying, what do I care about? And how do I take action to get there? And so it's made up of, so the 3 C's of self-leadership are clarity, confidence, and control. And so clarity involves your why, your personal values, and then understanding the goals that you have that relate to those values, and breaking down those goals and saying, this is what I have to do today. This is what I have to do tomorrow. This is what I'm hoping to accomplish in a year. This is what even though we're horrible at predicting, this is what I would hope to accomplish in 5 years because it's important to me and my values. And this is what's keeping me happy, right? Not accomplishing that, but the fact that I'm living each and every single day in accordance to what I care about. And confidence, if you don't have confidence, you're not going to be able to take action. But what's interesting, if you have clarity, that builds confidence. And so you can also actually look at your goals and say, what skills don't I have? What skills do I need to create, to build, to improve? And then you actually implement those in your goals as well. So you build greater confidence. And so now if you have clarity, you understand how to get somewhere, and you believe you can get somewhere, you have greater control over your life, which means you can start prioritizing your goals and your values. You can prioritize yourself. And you also have greater control over, like, I just had a really bad day. I'm not going to do anything. Well, hold on a second. Just because I had a bad day, my emotions aren't going to be able to control the fact that I still care about doing these things. And then you have greater control.
Oh, you just brought up something really relevant. And I see this so frequently. And in this day and age, it is extremely prevalent. People really get caught up in their emotions, how they feel. So I'm going to say it like this, and I very rarely said it like this on the show, because I'm going to say it like my uncles and my dad and my mom would even say sometimes, like when I was a teenager. They'd be like, fuck your feelings. They were like, you need to get this done. I don't care how you feel about it. You committed to something. You need to get it done. I don't feel it. And they would stop there. Get it done. Stop looking at how you feel about it, because it changes in the moment. And the reason I bring this up is because it seems most of the strife that we have is because people get caught up in their feelings and they forget the why of their involvement. They forget the why of just the basics of it. I don't like this job, and I'm leading to something with this, which leads to a lot of people saying, how do I be happy at work? You know, and I come from a generation of parents who worked like 35 years in the factory. They didn't think like, I'm sick of this, man. But if you go before that, in the 1930s, 1940s, 1950s, life was kind of hard. So this was a come up to them. And I think, so how can people be happy at work?
Yeah, great question and great points, because you go into work and then you see all the salad dressings not at work with you, and you're like, man, I really want those salad dressings. Well, I say, if I knew what I knew now back then when I was working in healthcare for 6 years, I don't think I would have ever become a coach, because I know that I was in complete control of my emotions each and every day, right? So emotions are triggers, right? Emotions are just programs in your brain getting activated based on external influences. So emotion is a feeling, is some sort of physiological reaction that we label, right? So it's like, I'm sweaty, my heart is beating, I'm breathing quicker, so I must be nervous. Well, someone else may call that excitement. So it's like, however you define your emotions is just how you define them. It doesn't actually, it's not based all the time in reality. And so if we live our life based off our emotions without actually being aware and questioning them, then we could actually be living like in falsehood. And so we go into work, and let's say something bad happened. Your boss did something like shitty to you, and you're just like, F this person doesn't care about me. And so that emotion, that belief can just start building on itself if you don't take a step back and say, oh, my boss was just doing their job. Maybe just it came out wrong. Who knows? Maybe they're having a bad day. So you don't have that break. So instead you start building on that, become more resentful towards your work. So then you start pulling away from your coworkers, and then you start judging your boss every single day. And so that hate continues to build too. And all of a sudden now, a month later, 2 months later, you are the reason why you don't like your job. You are the reason. You've pulled away from all the people you could be close to. You stopped looking at your work as meaningful, and you don't like your leadership, and you think that they're idiots, and you think you know better than them. So now you're looking for another position. And so I know this is kind of like, worst case scenario, right? But this is the situation a lot of people are in. They have one bad experience at work, or they have a friend around them that gets a better job, and all of a sudden now what they have isn't good enough. And so to love your job, that is a choice, just like you choose to commit to someone in a relationship, or you choose to love yourself or go to the gym each and every day. So when you go into work to be happy at work, it's initially a choice, and say, what do I feel about my job is meaningful? What is the greater impact? And like, for example, I was working in healthcare. I was working specifically in process improvement. So I was responsible for patient outcomes and improving processes. That was really meaningful to me. I got promoted to be on the executive team. So now all of a sudden I'm doing PowerPoint presentations, financial reports, brainstorming in a conference room for 6 hours. And I lost what I felt was meaningful about my job. But if I sat there and said, wait, hold up a second, my job is allowing people like who I was in my last position to do my job, I would have seen the meaning in it. I would have felt that my work was meaningful, but I perceived it in a way, in a frame that made it not meaningful to me. So the first step is to figure out what is meaningful about your job to you. What is the greater picture? And then you can get a little bit more focused on the actual work you're doing. There are ways to adjust your actual work, and there are ways to adjust your social relationships at work that bring you meaning too. Because with job satisfaction, there are 3 main categories: the meaning, the social relationships, and the work that you're doing. And so we can get into each of those a little bit more if you want to.
One of the things you hit on a point, and I thought about it historically. When I was a kid, I liked to tinker, I liked to learn, I liked to build stuff. So I went to school for electronics, worked for a copier company when I was like 20 something. From that, I was like, this is boring. So I found another job. I started working in spectroscopy. This is too much. I'm traveling. My kids don't know me. I went into tier 3 repair for automotive, redesigning things. Got tired of that. Went to the casino, where my learning, I said to the management, I can teach this course so you can segregate your knowledge population and salary. That led to me becoming a trainer for someone that I trained, went to another industry and was like, if you can teach me, you can teach anybody. So now I'm in the solar industry. And here's my point. Sometimes people don't, and this is what I was talking about the base. You got to know what your base is. All this comes back down to my love to tinker with electronics and understand. So from one little thing, so many things are apparent and offered to you. But I think a lot of people just kind of see with horse blinders on. They don't see all the roots that come from their idea. And the reason I bring this up, because, how do you know what you want to do for a career when you've only had a limited scope of what a career is. And that could be somebody in their 40s. You know, I've been working at this bank for 35 years. I hate my job. Not knowing that, like, hey, you can help people. You can tell people how to save money. You can tell people how banking works, how interest works. So how can people know what they want to do in their career?
Yeah, I love how you were bringing up just this like foundation of, I just like tinkering with stuff. And you remind me, your story kind of reminds me of my dad, who, when I was a kid, we used to drive through alleyways picking up old microwaves and fridges and TVs and fixing them. Yeah,
I did that.
selling them. And I used to go with him to, you know, it's funny, if I track back my entrepreneurship like spirit, I see myself going with my dad to go fix people's houses and, like, you know, doing sewage stuff or bathroom replacements or drywall. And then I see myself sitting in his office as he was a real estate agent, just playing with toys. Like, and then with soccer too, like I never really thought work was sitting at a desk, you know? So it's like,
Right.
you can trace back who you are from some of your experiences when you were younger. So I'd say, understand your story, understand your journey, understand the different components of that and what that could mean for what you enjoy, what lights you up, what sparks that fire. Make a running list of all your strengths. You're 25, 35, you can go to 50 strengths. You can write down 50 strengths.
Yeah.
That will hint at a lot of things you could be good at, but also talk to people. So reach out to people, have conversations, just 20 minutes of, hey, I'm really curious about what you've done, where you've gone. And these are people maybe that are a step up or two steps up from where you are in your professional career. They might, if you're just searching, if you have a blank slate, talk to people in completely different careers and learn about what they've done and how they've done it. But a really good activity is to look at what you might want to, like, what your future might be leading to. So if you think about, okay, I'm retired, I'm sitting on a porch with my floppy dog, you know, floppy dog in a rocking chair, moving back, I don't know, looking at the sunshine, smoking a pipe and drinking some whiskey or whatever you're doing at retirement.
Right.
You know, you're sitting at retirement, and I want you to think about, okay, so I'm at this point in my life. What are 3 different things I could have done? 3 different things. And you have these endpoints. You have these endpoints that your career is now at. And then I want people to work backwards. Literally go 5-year time spans. What were you doing 5 years before that? What were you doing 5 years before that? What were you doing 5 years before that? To where you are today. And then look at those different paths and say, which of these are attractive to me? And pick 1, 2, or 3. You can pick all of them if you want. And then break those down and say, well, how could I actually make these a reality? And I promise you, there are so many different paths to hit each one of those different versions of who you are that you're going to get some ideas that you might not have had before. And you might actually also find similarities to say, okay, so in these 3 different versions of my future self, I need to go connect with people that are directors in, you know, Tinker Company XYZ. Okay, great. So now I know in the next 3 months, I should be sending 5 to 10 different connection requests or emails to people that work with these organizations and having conversations with them, and then trying to help them, trying to add value in their life. And so that future mapping exercise can be really important for people to kind of see how their life can move forwards in different ways.
You know, you said something very interesting. You said, talk to these people to see how you can help them. And I think this is what so many people get confused by, is we are here to serve. Just think, let's say it's you and I, your mom and dad, my mom and dad, our brothers and sisters, and we all live in this village. What is our primary focus? To serve that community. Our community does not thrive if we don't do our part. If we don't find out, hey, what do we need? We need firewood, I'll be back. We need water, okay, you're going to get water, I'm going to get firewood. I think this is what people are missing, because you can't find out what it is you like unless you experience it. And you can't find out what experiences are there unless you try. And one of the best ways to try is to find out what someone needs. Hey, I need a wall built in my backyard. I've never done one, but I can try it. If you don't have, you know, you just have to bear with me. And then you find out, man, I got a knack for landscaping. You know why I brought this up, because I told you I was landscaping. But you make some really great points. if you and I were in an elevator, and I'm segueing here, we didn't know each other from Adam or Eve. Got to make that gender specific thing. And I looked at you and I said, yo, bro, what do you do? And you got 3 floors to tell me what you do. What do you do?
I mean, it's simple. It's just I help people create a career that they can love. Sometimes I work with organizations to help them become organizations that people can love too. So I work on kind of both ends of the spectrum, but it's just that simple.
And who's your perfect customer?
Perfect customer would be someone in a managerial, directorial level position that realizes that they're just not happy at work and they don't really know how to be happy. They feel like for the past 3 to 5 years, it's been the same story and something's holding them back.
Well, thank you for that. Ding, get off the elevator. Now, do you find that there are some people who are just at the ground level who can use your expertise as well?
Yeah, I have a ton of virtual events for people that are kind of at the ground level. They're all free. I used to do a lot of live events in Chicago, but they've all moved virtual. So I do a ton on career clarity, do a ton on just motivation and goal setting. The ground level is so important because it's such an opportune time for people to test, to try things out.
Yeah.
And if people, I work with a lot of clients that are just, they're in a position, they're just like, I have no idea what to do next. Sometimes I work with people that know what they want to do. They want to, create a business and create a positive social impact in the world for whatever reason. But so I get people that come to me and they say, I don't know. And I say, great. You're not supposed to know. You're not supposed to know what has happened in your life to help you know. Let's go figure this stuff out. And it's an opportunity to people to really dive in again, like to their stories, their strengths, their background, their potential, future vision, and start testing stuff out. Because as you test stuff out, you then can create actual clarity. But if you're thinking that you need to have an idea before you start, then that is a huge mistake. That's what's keeping you stagnant. The fact that you feel like you need something perfect. And so 100% I work with people that are just kind of getting going.
Awesome. Now, there's one thing that comes up because there's this thing for some odd reason on my YouTube channel and my Instagram and sometimes Facebook, I get these things that are like, you can get to 6 figures. Do you want to make blah, blah, blah? Yada, yada, yada. And I literally wish I could just figure out how to shut these off or comment to these people like, A, how do you know that the people can know what to do with 4 figures because they're going to be in the same boat with 6 figures? The reason I bring this up is how often is the unhappiness about the capital that they're making or the money that they're making?
Yeah, those ads are funny, by the way. If you want to have a little fun with them, just post your social media links on the comments.
That's dope.
Yeah, use their ads, man. They're paying money to show the ads literally to your target customer. So just be like, hey, you know what? If you're frustrated with these ads, I got some info for you might be interested in. There you go. Done.
That was a diamond you just dropped right there.
Because they are frustrating because it's just a marketing ploy. It's clickbait.
Yeah.
Because the only way to get to 6 figures is to make 4 figures and to continuously make 4 figures. So you build enough momentum and referrals that people want to give you 5 figures. And then, you just keep moving up from there.
Yeah.
There's no magic bullet. And especially if you're unhappy and you think money is going to solve that, well, man, you're going to probably forget that you're unhappy while you're trying to make money. And that might last for a few years, but then you're going to still be unhappy.
Yeah.
And it's because it really isn't about the destination. And we've heard this probably a ton. If anyone has read any personal development book, it is not about the destination. It's about the journey. And it's not even about the journey if you're not doing the journey right either. So if you're not figuring out what is happiness for you and what is success for you, and if you're defining success by what you actually achieve, then also like you're setting yourself up for failure because you may not achieve that. Because failure in itself is progress and action and should be celebrated as much as success. Because life is literally just a culmination of you taking action towards your own yourself. And that should be celebrated, not whatever you accomplish, because the guy that's happy, fishing on a beach somewhere, that lives in a hut, that his level of happiness can be just as much as, Jeff Bezos, who's flying in his private jet around the world. I know I went all over the place with that. Hopefully,
no. So this is why I do the Billionaire Lifestyle. People say, they give you these things. Your podcast needs to be very niche. Well, life is not like that. And I want to talk about being an adult. I want to help people out who are having some struggles, whether it be body image, whether it be personal finance, whether it be finding their happiness. This is why I have the guest on. And I very rarely turn guests down. You have to really suck for me to turn you down. But usually I just don't air you. But having said that, life is dynamic. And for all the powers that be, they want to tell you it's this little bitty thing when it's not. And you really have to be in your life. You have to really be conscious. So I teach solar. I teach installation of solar for a very large company. And before I even get into the technical part, I tell these young gentlemen and ladies, this is what this job is about. It is about consciousness. It is about consciousness of where your feet are, because they're 20 to 30 feet up. It is consciousness of the wind. It is consciousness of the person. It is consciousness of your life. And it is consciousness of your family. And then they look at me like I'm absolutely crazy. And they go, Emmett, why is it consciousness of our family? It's because if you fall off the roof, you will have no consciousness of your family. And they go, oh. I go, life is consciousness. Know where you are at all times and be in that moment. And it's basically a lot of the things that you were saying. You have to be conscious where you are and understand who you are so that you can move forward. Dr. Ben, how can people find you?
Oh, they can go to liveforyourselfconsulting.com. All my info's on that website, but you can also message me directly on LinkedIn if you'd like. I pretty much respond to everything. Just look up Dr. Benjamin Ritter. I think I'm the only one. You can filter in Chicago if you want, but I'm super active on there. And, I'm on all the other social media platforms, but to be honest, I probably log in and post and then log out. So I'm not that active there. So find me on LinkedIn, send me a message, and let's have a conversation.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank you so much for being on the Billionaire Lifestyle Podcast. Let's do this again in about 6 months.
I'd love to.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, water is life. We are 80% water. Bags of mostly water, as they said on Star Trek. And from that water, which goes down into the little molecule set of hydrogen and oxygen. What I'm trying to say is we are all made of the same stuff. What I want you to do is love yourself, be conscious of yourself. And I'm going to give you an exercise to be conscious of yourself. Most of us take showers every day, and we are rushing to do something. Don't rush. Drop your towel, sit there bare booty naked, and look in the mirror. I don't care if you're obese, if you're skinny, if you got a dad bod like me who's lifted weights. It doesn't matter. What I want you to do is get to the mirror, and I want you to just take in your body, because you are a billionaire. I'll tell you how you got to this point. 2 people got together, they shared some biological information, the cosmos gave it a blessing. 2 became 4, 4 became 8, 8 became 16. For 30 days, just the 30 days transforms you into a billion cells. So you are a billionaire. Stop tripping about money and think about the community that you belong to. When you find someone else that is a billionaire, from the context that I just said, treat them with love, honor, and respect. Until next time, love you all.